Emily Thornberry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm very grateful to you for granting this urgent question. Yesterday's horrific massacre at the Gaza border left at least 58 dead and almost 3,000 injured. And our first thoughts today are with those Palestinians mourning their loved ones or waking up with life-changing injuries. And what makes yesterday's events all the worst is that they didn't come as a result of some accidental overreaction to one day's protests, but as the result of a culmination of 6 weeks, an apparently calculated and deliberate policy to kill and maim unarmed protesters who pose no threat to the forces on the Gaza border. Many of them shot in the back, many of them shot hundreds of metres from the border, and many of them children. And if we are in any doubt, Mr. Speaker, about the lethal intent of the Israeli snipers working on the border, I'm afraid we only need to look at the wounds suffered by their victims. On hunting websites, Mr. Speaker, in America, they regularly debate the merits of 7.6mm bullets versus the 5.5mm bullets. The latter, they say, is effective when you want to wound multiple internal organs, while the former is preferred by some because, and I quote, it is designed to mushroom and fragment, to do maximum internal damage to the animal. And it was this ammunition, it is alleged, that was used in Gaza yesterday against men, women and children. On the very first day of the violence, Mr. Speaker, the UN Secretary-General called for an independent investigation into those incidents, and last night the Kuwaiti government asked the UN Security Council to agree a statement doing the same, only to be vetoed by the United States. And while I agree with every word of that Kuwaiti statement, it is easy to see why the US vetoed it, because it was critical of their Jerusalem embassy move. So can I ask the Minister of State today if he will take the initiative, not just in supporting a new Security Council statement, but in helping draft a new statement, making no criticism of any party and no link to any other issue, but simply calling for an urgent, independent investigation into the violence in Gaza to assess whether international law has been broken and to hold those responsible to account. A statement that no country could reasonably object to, not even the United States, unless they are prepared to make the case that there is one rule for the government of Israel and another one for everyone else. And I believe that the investigation must just be the start of an effort at the UN and elsewhere to bring urgent and concerted international pressure on the Netanyahu government to lift the illegal blockade on Gaza and comply with all the UN resolutions ordering them to remove their illegal settlements and end their illegal occupation of Palestinian territories. If yesterday's death can act as a catalyst for that action, then at least they will not have been in vain. And in the interim, especially as the protests resume today, will the Minister of State join me in urging the Israeli forces serving on the Gaza border to show some long overdue responsibility to their fellow human beings and stop this vicious slaughter?